All right, what's going on? We're back here at this park. Well, this is the sandbox, but these little drysaurs have great patterns. I just really like the look of them. So what I'm looking at here is obviously the Tyrannosaurus pin size and what we can get out of what. So let's talk about our unit of measurement kind of here. This is a single length of fence. So any fence that you grab, this is a single length of it, squared. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. If it's got three, it's a 3 by 3 or whatever, you'll know it means one of these. Now here are the different fences and what each one of their lengths look like. It's not too tough to go set them out and figure it out. If you are trying to make different pins and work with this length thing and these certain squares, if you want to keep in line attached to a different fence, move over just a little bit and then attach a fence coming this way, and you'll be able to demolish these pieces in between. And now you've got a nice area right here between these two things. They're divided well. You can put pathways down them. You could even probably have it a little closer. But usually when you go to demolish one of these that offers something like that, you want to be able to take single pieces out. So to maintain the fence the way it is, I come close in here on the fence, touch the bottom with the circle, choose the fence that I want. It doesn't really move it anywhere. Usually if I move up to it with the fence, it'll meet me kind of over here, whatever. I don't want that to happen. I want to keep this fence directly in line. So there we choose our fence and pull it straight out to whatever, There it is, out here. And then, again, we can clip small pieces of it off instead of that entire length and make whatever size pins we want, really. But anything smaller than this, I don't think you could keep anything in it. These drysaurs have the smallest requirement for herd size population. They need 3, but they'll be happy with 2. These ones are humble, and here's another group of them. They're the same thing. So let's talk about Tyrannosauruses and what usually happens. We end up with some pin over in somewhere like this. This looks like my Suchomimus and Baryonyx pin. Just as big of an area as you could possibly have. But instead, you could have a Tyrannosaurus in your pin in a 2x2 tiny little pin. There he is. He's not super happy. If there was a storm, he'd break out because they drop down in their comfort about 20%. He might even get out occasionally, but they're easy to put back. This is a 2x2 pin, and he is... he's got the humble gene. That's what we've got to get, is that humble gene by releasing a couple needy dinosaurs. And then you'll have access to that. Now this seems to be the smallest pin size I can get a dinosaur to be content in, or a Tyrannosaurus to be content in. Now the humble one versus this is the pin that I use for the regular one, and I keep him at 100%, and it's a single one. But there's no... He's just an aggressive Tyrannosaurus. This is the 3x3. The humble one fits into... Look how much smaller this pin is. It's 2x2. Because with the 3x3, at 100%, we can actually put 2 of them in the 3x3 at just fitting. That 73, 72% is basically what you've got to have them at if you want them to just fit. And when there's a storm, they're going to break out like crazy. I don't know that they'll get really any more sick because there's only a couple of them. Now, if you use the humble gene on the 3x3, there's yet another Tyrannosaurus, and yet another Tyrannosaurus is yet another 1266 appeal. I mean, that's incredible. So 3 of them with the humble, and there they are at 72, just like these ones. And I suppose I should talk a little bit about the actual size of these things. These 1x1s, like this, this says 0.23. They actually come out to be about 0.25, 0.26. It has a lot to do with like where the dinosaur's territory reaches up against the fence and stuff. But any one of these squares, I just consider 0.25. And then you can judge how big of a pin you would need based on that. Because you can look at the animal's needs in here. And, well, you can see whether they're large or small. I don't know if you can actually see what the size requirements specifically are. Let's see. Can we at all? Area, it just says low. But I mean, certainly after you get one out, you can know and pre-plan the next pin or build the next pin and move them. All right, so we've got one doing great in a 2x2 but has a humble gene. One doing perfect in a 3x3 with no new attributes. 2 just filling up a 3x3, and 3 just filling up a 3x3 with the humble gene. Now we've got, let's keep them good and content in a 4x4. And they're not quite perfect, but they would stay in during a storm, I think. And there's just 2 of them in here. 2 in the 4x4, and which equates to, of course, 16 of the 1x1 blocks. This pin is an 8x2, and again, 16 1x1 blocks. But these guys are a little bit less happy because this apparently is slightly less area, or they don't always take up the entire thing. And so they're less happy. These guys take up their whole area. They've got 4.17. These, I suppose they're girls. They take up 3.98. It usually says 3.91 actually. But they'll start to lose this other side pretty soon. So those are 4s, 4x4, and a 2x8. I don't know if you could put this pin in your park very easily, but it would work. But then again, this pin wouldn't be terribly easy to put in just anywhere. But a 4x4 with 2 Tyrannosaurus, you know, this is not a very big pin. If that's a large amenity, and that's what that is, a large amenity fitting into that. This would not be that big. Let's see what a monorail station looks like in here. See? I mean, it is somewhat sizable, but not too terribly bad. All right, now to go up from the 4x4, here's a 5x5 completely packed. And these guys are... That's a feeder. Well, where's my little Jeeps? They're not doing their job. 74. 74, and sometimes they'll be a little bit low. You'll have to play with that open space, play with the forest, the water, delete things, you know, put it in. We've got 5 dinosaurs and a 5x5 pin here. And that would seem like quite a bit bigger pin, to be honest. I mean, something like a big paleomedical facility. What's it look like next to this thing? Yeah. So that is not a terribly small pin, though it's not really anything bigger than what I would use for maybe some ornithomimids and some ankylosaurids. You know, I could see notosauruses and struthios running around in that pin. It's not too terribly big. Enough room for Jeeps and whatever. So we've got 5 in the 5x5. Let's go up here and look at a perfectly happy 4 in a 6x6 pin. And now we're getting into quite a bit bigger pen here. I could see a few sauropods maybe in a pen like that. Almost. Sauropods take a lot of room too. But 4 in a 6x6. And now here's a 4x4. You can see the difference in size. 6x6 to a 4x4. That's a staff center. Response facility. Look, the 4x4 is not very big. And when they're humble, I've got 5 Tyrannosauruses in here. They're not happy, really. If there was a storm, they'd get out. A disease might hit now and then, but for the kind of appeal you would get out of 5 dinosaurs like that, I mean, look, this is not a big pen at all. So, 4x4 with 5, 5x5 with 5. Look at the size of that. Just so much different. That humble gene makes quite a difference. Now here again, this is a gigantic pen, which I can't imagine somebody getting the area of this thing really in their pen. Or in their park. It's 10 by 10. It offers 26.73 area. And I've got 22 Rexes in it, just barely. I feel like disease would happen a little bit more often in here. Of course, they would be fighting all the time, and you'd be spending a few million every time one of them fell over dead. You'd have to have a few paleomedical facilities just for this pen. But I imagine you could probably get quite a lot of appeal just out of it alone. So, let's see. We've got our one in here, and this is the smallest pen I can get a Rex in, really. Could I make it slightly smaller? Probably, but we're sticking with the unit of measurement, the 1x1 square up there, so without taking one of those off and trying it, which I don't really care to. We're going to say that's the smallest one we can get a Rex into, and this is the smallest one we can get one to be 100% happy in. And this is the 3x2. And right here, this Rex has got the humble gene on. There we go. And says it's just fine in this 3x2. And I really like the size of this little pen. It is about 3 hatcheries in size, just a shade more. And, I mean, a row of amenities next to this thing. Large amenities, let's see them. Look at this. 3 of them next to that. That's no kind of room at all. And to have Rexes in that size of a pen, this building this little thing has really surprised me quite a bit. So this would be the only other thing I would say you could do with any of these. This is another 3x2 with 2 of them in it, and they are probably some of the least content dinosaurs I have in this area. Both looking cool. 3x2. Of course, they've got the humble gene on. You can't really get them squeezed into these tiny pens without it. Otherwise, these are all just regular. These are all just regular. That's why they're in a 5x5 instead of a 4x4. These are regular as well in a 6x6. But that's what makes it take so much room. That's what I've come up with, really, for the size of everything. You know, the regular Rex wants, let's see what he says. There you go, 2.3 all the time. This one, happy at a 1.01, not 100% happy, but will stay in the park, will be good, will live its life and bring your people in a thing no bigger than a paleomedical facility, really. I mean, it's quite impressive. I suppose it's just a little bit bigger, but not a lot. 2 of them. I've got numerous places where I've got a couple buildings like this side by side, and if I could have a Rex in my park, my appeal would have gone flying through the roof. So, Consider those 1x1 pins. And, you know, I used to very haphazardly build my parks, but this is kind of nice. And there is room for amenities and stuff to be squeezed in between them if you're a little bit careful with what you do. I'll show you the last pin, and that'll be it. So, alright, here we are in the last pin. Let's see what we've got. There's a couple of Rexes screaming about something. Here's the pin. It is ridiculous in size. 15 by 15. I mean, you would be pretty crazy to put this thing in your park, and you could only do it at this park, I would imagine. There are full 30 Tyrannosauruses in here, and still they can't be 100% comfortable. I think they were up to about 23 or so, and then it started going down 25 maybe. If they were all humble, they would be, I suppose. But that's it. That's a 30 Rex pin, and how big it would need to be. I don't think you would get away with making it like a 14 by 15 even. I think they would be too low. Of course, the humble gene would affect it some, but at any rate, that's what you can get if you want 30 Rexes. Impossible. I don't know how you're going to do it. I hope the video's helped out some on whatever, maybe showing you can put them in a quite a bit smaller pin, especially with that gene on them. And otherwise, I mean, for me, I think I built pins way too big for my Rexes. I didn't take the gene modification seriously enough. Instead of having 4 of them like I thought I had to, I could have had 1, and that would have been great for my parks. Otherwise, I'm going to leave you with this Rex and say thanks for watching as always. Take it easy. Enjoy the dinosaurs. I'll see you later.